Hey guys, this is Krista from the Moratorium. Do you like grisly gore and mysteries? Of course you do. That is why I suggest you subscribe to my blog, Suspended Animation, Dormant Stories Waiting to be Told, where we at the Moratorium offer a number of lurid tales from axemen running around New Orleans to phantoms in Texarkana. And if you're feeling especially generous, head over to our Patreon, where for just a couple bucks a month, you can help the Moratorium grow. And that would be pretty kick-ass. And remember, long live VHS.
Hey guys, it's Tim from the Moratorium. Krista and I recorded this episode 2 of the Zodiac one day before the team from Codebreakers named the Zodiac. Next week on part 3 of this saga, we will be discussing this new information. But for now, sit back and listen to us ramble about the madness that is the Zodiac. Cue the music. And in 3, 2, 1, I already forgot it.
You will be assumed as big as a giant, or like all the others, dead.
You think I imagined all of it, don't you? You think I'm insane?
That's feng shui.
A match made in a bathroom, just floating into the void.
I've been looking at the maps of the Presidio and the Golden Gate Bridge and Alcatraz and...
Have you ever been to San Francisco?
Me? No. You?
Oh, yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah? Did you kill anybody while you were there?
You know, I thought about it, but...
You ran out of time? That was not on your Pirello Tours agenda?
Mike and I, we ate at Michael Mina's, which... If I'm not mistaken, that is...
restaurant?
On or near... It is a restaurant. It's an expensive fucking restaurant. Holy shit. I think it's on Washington or it's near Washington Street, but that'll take you straight into the Presidio, right? To Paul Stein's scene of the crime.
You could have been retracing the steps. Maybe that's why they didn't catch Zodiac, because he went to go get a bite to eat.
He did. I just don't think it was at Michael Mina's.
Son of a bitch. No?
No. I had on a white sundress. It was spaghetti strapped. It was really cute, but it's so cold in San Francisco. So I was freezing.
Oh, okay. I was like, and I had a parasol and some clogs.
We stopped at one of those, like, you know, like little touristy things, and they sell like the hoodies or whatever. So now I'm the proud owner of a maroon hoodie that says Sausalito Bike Tours. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you were saying, well, they were selling, you know, hoods, like Zodiac hoods.
Hell no.
That would be tacky.
It would.
So, welcome to the Moratorium. I'm Tim Kornman. And with me this week again, talking about the Zodiac, is Krista Funk.
Hello.
That was your key.
I know. I'm terrible at this.
Okay.
No, I'm working on it. Talked about this.
Anyway, this is part 2 of the Zodiac. I had a fun time talking about the Zodiac and his 5 confirmed kills. And there's possibility of more because he alluded to it, right? Mm-hmm. Now, did you get the final count?
The final countdown.
Click. We just lost another listener. Thanks.
I know. I'm sorry.
Did you get an exact count of what he claimed that he killed?
I think he claimed something like 37 people. I think he got up to 37
that's what
people.
I read somewhere. Can I tell you where I read that? No. Can I confirm 37? No.
No, I don't think 37 people can be confirmed, but I think he claimed 37. I think he, wanted it to be 37.
My question is, though, because he changed, even in this short period of time that we have these 7 victims, 5 kills, he's changed his MO several times, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so our first kill, he shot. The second kill...
He shot.
He shot again. Okay, third one he stabbed, and fourth one he shot.
Right.
Third one he stabbed with a costume on.
But the fourth one was one lone victim. All the others were couples.
Right. So he's changed everything. So how do we know that he did not continue on and possibly even move across the country and just perform murder after murder, saying, hey, this is the 70s, our forensics sucks, they're never going to catch me, all I got to do is stop writing stupid ciphers because I can't spell anyway.
Right. Christ Mass. MASS.
So how do we know that he didn't go on and do even more than 37?
Well,
we don't.
I don't know that maybe he was right. Maybe he really did kill 37, but I doubt it because there were crimes that he took credit for that could be proven that Zodiac didn't do it. Like the police officer that was shot and Zodiac claimed he did it. But that one, they already had somebody in custody already had their man. I don't know that was the actual killer, but Zodiac didn't do it.
Do you think this is a possibility that he was doing that to also throw off the cops, saying, hey, yeah, that was me, by the way? And just fuck everybody up? This was a time in the early 70s, late 60s that I guess California had a lot of serial killers. Didn't we just have, when was the Sharon Tate murder?
Sharon Tate? Whoa, that's late 60s.
I think that was 69.
Yeah.
And I know, I did look it up because it's 300 miles away, but...
No, I don't think Zodiac did Sharon Tate.
No. I'm just saying that, California is being taken hostage by...
serial killers?
Mass murders.
There are quite a few that came from California. Richard Ramirez was running around Los Angeles murdering people in the 80s. There was that other dude that was killing people in Sacramento.
Oh, man, that dude was horrible.
He was horrible.
He was heinous.
I'm trying to think of his name. Dude, he had some gnarly fucking teeth. Richard Ramirez had gnarly teeth. Now I'm going to have to Google it. No, they called him the vampire something, but of Sacramento or whatever, but for something. Anyway, dude with gnarly teeth killing people in Sacramento. It happened.
But what I'm saying is that, we don't know if Zodiac hung around. It's never been solved. We don't know that he's dead. We don't know that he's possibly still alive. There's a lot of suspects, and I want to say that we're probably not going to get to the suspects today, right? I think next episode we'll break down possible suspects, and I'm going to watch a movie. And I'm going to talk about that and tell you the links that I have to that. I know that today you are already watching Zodiac. How many times have you seen it? Dozen?
A billion. Yeah, a lot.
It's background noise at this time?
Pretty much. I was at work. You failed to mention that. I was at work doing inventory.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a good movie. I want to watch it again, too, because it was very well done.
Richard Chase, Sacramento.
Sorry, guys. Back up for about 3 to 5 minutes to where I asked the question, and there's your answer.
Yes. Just want you to know.
What was the question?
Richard Chase.
Fucked up teeth. Vampire of what?
Fucked up teeth. Sacramento. I don't know, but, he's got fucked up teeth, all right? They're... Okay. That dude... Okay, they don't look so bad.
What was he known as?
The Vampire of Sacramento. They don't look so bad in this picture. Okay, his teeth look all right, but...
Okay, so this was Sacramento. How far is that from San Francisco?
That's a couple hours away.
California's huge.
Mike and I had to drive back to Sacramento after we drank a bunch at Michael Mina's. That was a bad idea.
You have been seen in many places where serial killers are prevalent.
It's true. And we stayed at the sketchiest hotel. We're so tired. And we stayed at the sketchy hotel. And yeah, it was...
Is there a dead hooker under the mattress?
There might have been. You never know. Richard Chase was probably next door. I don't know. I think he's dead. Yeah. Died in 1980.
Ooh, death by suicide. His span of crimes was 1977 to 1978.
Well, we're going to have to return to this guy. Other names, the Dracula Killer, the Vampire of Sacramento, the Vampire Killer. We'll just have to come back to this one.
And Zodiac named himself. All right, well, let's get deep into it because I want to talk possible victims. All right,
Okay.
we've got our confirmed kills. Break down our confirmed kills again.
We've got David Faraday, and we've got, what was the girl's name in Lake Herman?
That one girl with the one
Oh my
thing,
God.
yeah.
That one
The one
girl.
with the face? Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay, Wikipedia to the rescue. David Arthur Faraday, Betty Lou Jensen.
Betty Lou
16.
Jensen, that's right. Betty Lou Jensen. Then there was Darlene Ferrin. He shot Michael Mageau. Mageau lived. Then there was Cecilia Shepard, stabbed her. She died. Hartnell lived. And then there was Paul Stein.
Right.
So Stein, Shepard, Darlene Ferrin, Betty Lou Jensen, David Faraday. Those are the 5.
Now, at what point in the ciphers did you go into that actually shows the first time that he, like, put a tally up there? He would have Zodiac, 17 and SFPD or whatever, 0.
Yeah, I'm not sure which letter he started doing that. I just know that he started.
I mean, there's a link that I have here with the first possible kill that happened several years before David Arthur Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen in 1968. That was Robert Domingos and Linda Edwards. And this was California's Santa Barbara, June 4th, 1963. And I'm reading this right off of InSearchOfTheZodiacKiller.com. So do you know about the Edwards Domingos murders?
I don't really know much about them.
Well, I'm going to read off of this and see what you think, because it's interesting. 1963, so 5 years before Faraday, 18-year-old Robert Domingos and a 17-year-old fiancée, Linda Edwards, were just days away from graduating high school when they were found murdered on Gaviota Beach in Santa Barbara. Both had been shot to death. The killer had attempted to burn their bodies in an effort to cover up the crime. Investigators at the crime scene found pre-cut pieces of rope, which led them to believe that the killer may have attempted to tie them up before they were killed. Robert Domingos had a bruised lip and bruises on his hands, which investigators believed were most likely caused by him trying to fight off the killer. This could have happened at the point where their assailant had been attempting to tie them up, but it appears that Robert was able to fight him off long enough for him and Linda to make an unsuccessful attempt at escaping from their attacker. He shot them numerous times in the back as they were running for their lives. I thought it was kind of interesting. Now, what did I say? This is Santa Barbara. How far away is that from San Francisco? I still don't have any clue. Google, help me out. I know you're listening. I've got to look this up real quick. Santa Barbara. They're coming to get you, Barbara. There. Santa Barbara to San Francisco is a 5-hour drive. Oh, but it's only like 3 miles away. It's in California. It's 326 miles away.
What's the difference between Riverside and San Francisco?
Hey, Google, I know you're listening. Riverside, California?
Mm-hmm.
It's 100 miles more. 433 miles.
Yeah, I thought it was something like 400 and something miles.
So what happened in Riverside?
Well, if Sherry Jo Bates is a Zodiac victim, then that's where she was killed. She was killed in Riverside.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is called a segue. So let's talk about Sherry Jo Bates.
Well, Sherry Jo Bates was an 18-year-old girl. She was bright. She was a freshman at Riverside City College, which I kept calling Riverside Community College.
Oh.
And it's actually Riverside. Well, because it's always abbreviated RCC. But it's actually Riverside City College. But she went to school there. She lived there with her dad. Her parents were divorced. She worked part-time at a bank.
Okay. What was she going to school for?
I'm not sure what her major was, but I think she wanted to be like an airline stewardess or something like that. Like I think that's
you
what.
have to have a bachelor's for that?
I don't think you have to have a degree. No, her story is kind of freaky. I mean, they're all freaky, but on the morning of October 30th, it's a Sunday. She gets up. She's Catholic. She goes to Mass with her dad.
Okay.
Afterwards, they went somewhere and had breakfast. Later that evening, around 5:30, something like that, she calls a friend. Hey, you want to go study with me at the library? Her friend declines.
Was this a guy friend or a girlfriend, did it say?
A girl.
Just
It was a
curious
girl.
because we're talking about, sweetheart killer type situation. I'm just curious.
No,
Okay, go ahead.
it was a girl, but her friend declined. Sherry Jo Bates leaves a note on her fridge telling her dad that she's going to study at the library. Don't wait up. I'm going to be late studying, that sort of thing. She leaves. She's seen on the highway.
Josie, stop it.
You can hear my dog. Yeah, she's out there she's barking. She was seen on the highway driving to work. There was a car seen following closely behind her.
Who reported that?
This was, came about later after her murder.
Okay.
But, I would imagine that this is one of those things where, they were following close enough for this person to think that's strange, but not to really, pay close attention to it and scrutinize, the driver, but this is just something that came about after her murder. Hey, I saw her on the way to work and there was this car that was driving very closely behind her.
They didn't say what kind of car it was? They couldn't?
It was an Oldsmobile, I believe.
I was just curious.
She's driving to the library. It's the night before Halloween. She's going to study, okay? I just want to point that out. That
Man.
She's
bringing me down.
She's going to the library to study. That's what she's doing. I think it was after 6 when she got there. But anyway, she stays there the rest of the night till about 9:30 when the library closed.
Okay.
During her stay at the library that night, she's studying. There was a couple of other people that said that they saw somebody outside lurking in the parking lot.
Okay.
Okay, there was a figure of a man that they described somewhere between 5'11" and was probably 19 or 20. He was young.
Okay.
One of them walked by him or close by him on the way to her car when she was leaving, and they shared, they did the, nod, have a good night, whatever, I don't think he said anything to her. Okay. None of them got a real good look at him, but they did say that they saw somebody in the parking lot. And a couple of them said that this person was, kind of lingering around or close to Sherry Jo Bates's car.
Okay. But she did have a boyfriend, right?
I don't think so. I don't know. It didn't seem like there was any, she had any enemies or a scary boyfriend that was jealous or anything like that, I mean.
Okay. According to this, in search of the ZodiacKiller.com on Sherry Bates's murder, it says police initially suspected Bates's boyfriend responsible for her murder, but he was officially exonerated 30 years later. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
I've never heard of that a boyfriend was suspected, but, that's news to me, but.
Okay. I was just, I didn't know either, because I know you wrote a blog over this, right? If you
did.
guys want to read about Sherry Jo Bates's murder in depth, go check out the blog at themoratorium.com. And you'll get you're going to get the bullet points here. You're going to get the whole story there. So go check it out.
I don't know that there was any, jealous ex-boyfriend or, a stalker or anything like that she was complaining of or anything like that prior to her death. There's all these stories where Darlene Ferrin was concerned that she was getting these phone calls. There was these heavy breathing, dude showed up in a suit, There's all these other stories. But in Sherry Jo Bates's case, the stalking in her case began after her death.
She's easy to stalk if she's dead, right?
If you want to be extra cruel, her dad started getting phone calls where he said all he was hearing was heavy breathing, and he got a letter.
Oh.
A couple of them.
All right.
So, but we're not there yet, Tim.
I'm sorry, skipping ahead. I was just thinking
we're not there yet, Tim.
I'm sorry. I was thinking somebody stalking Sherry Jo Bates. I'm like, she's already dead. Leave her alone. It's a horrible joke.
No, this began after.
I'm going to keep laughing, guys. You got to keep laughing.
Anyway, so The library closes. Sherry Jo Bates, she stays there the whole time. She gets her stuff together, and we know that she was in the library because people were with her in the library. She was seen in the library. And she checked out a couple of books while she was there, and they were found in her car, in the front seat. So we know she made it to the car. We know she got the car open, but she couldn't get the car started.
Okay, I'm supposed to going to ask, did it look like somebody...
So she drove a Volkswagen Beetle. From what I understand,
I thought in the pictures everything looked in order, right?
Well, her car would, on the outside, would look normal, but when you lift the hood up, they found that her distributor coil and the condenser had been disconnected, and the middle wire of the distributor had been disconnected. And so apparently he just sat back and watched as she ran the battery down trying to start it.
Which sounds kind of familiar, like, your lug nuts are loose. I'll come help you.
Right?
Yeah.
And Kathleen Johns, yeah. You know, and being the nice guy that he is, and we know this, Zodiac's a nice guy. He will offer you help. I mean, he'll kill you afterwards, but then, you know, but he'll come and help you, you know, he'll give you a lift, you know.
In Johns's case, though, he drove her around for a couple of hours, right?
Like for a while, yeah, making up excuses about these, you know, why he wouldn't stop at a gas station and things like that until she eventually, you know, jumped out.
After hour 2, you're like, you have passed 38 gas stations.
Right. Okay, we're driving over the state line, you know, we're in Oregon now.
It's so much cheaper to get your car fixed in Oregon. Anyway, okay, so maybe the killer came to her rescue just like Zodiac and tried to do that.
Right, so she's trying to start her car, it won't start. It's speculated that he probably came along and offered her help. Hey, you know, I'll take you somewhere, whatever. I mean, I'm going to take you over here and kill you because that's exactly what he did.
I'm going to take you 20, 30 yards away. And
I want to say he did something to get her to walk, what was it, like 76 yards away from where her car was parked. I wrote it down.
That sounds about right, yeah. Maybe then she was like, no, you don't have a car over here. I don't trust you.
I'm not sure how he got her to walk away from her car, but he did. He got her.
Did you call an Uber?
He got her to walk away from it, and supposedly he attacked her around 10:15. I mean, the earliest he could have killed her is when the library closed, but we know he didn't kill her then because there were people there, still there. But now we don't have any witnesses. There's nobody to see her.
Gotcha.
But there is somebody to hear her. There was a neighbor that said around 10:15 she heard a ferocious, blood-curdling scream. Okay?
Okay.
It's thought that it was around this time-ish is when he attacked her. She was stabbed a lot.
I don't mean to laugh, guys. I'm sorry. Just a lot.
He got her in the face, the neck, the chest. She had defense wounds on her arms and her hands. He slashed her throat so badly, he severed her voice box, so she didn't scream for long.
No.
And he slashed her so badly, he nearly decapitated her.
That is insane.
Yeah. And then he left her lying face down, and he would have been fucked up. Like, whoever killed her would have been fucked up. Like, if she had nails, like real nails, like not the stupid ones like mine that I, bite off, but she had like real nails, and they pulled skin and...
Oh, so they got DNA evidence out of that.
She scratched the shit out of this dude, okay? Like, I mean, there was a physical fight between these two. She died, but she didn't go down without a fight, though.
Okay.
I believe they found evidence that she'd been, kicked in the head a few times. There was a fight, a physical fight between these two. It's just, he had a weapon, and he was bigger than her, and he killed her.
I guess it says here, among the evidence that was left at the scene was, I guess, her watch.
No, she ripped his watch off.
That was his watch.
Yeah, she ripped his watch off.
Okay. But it wasn't a Zodiac watch.
I don't think it was a Zodiac watch. I don't know if it was a Zodiac watch.
I'm looking at a picture right now. It looks like a nondescript Casio.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was just curious. Okay, that was his watch. I didn't realize that.
Like I said, these two fought. I think they found her purse nearby, some stuff scattered around. I mean, like, he didn't rob her. Like, she didn't have, I don't think she had much money on her to begin with, but he didn't rob her. And he didn't rape her either. Like, this was not a sexually motivated murder either.
Right. Which hasn't been an MO of the Zodiac.
Of the Zodiacs.
At all,
yeah,
right?
At all. Mm-mm. This is not to say that he was the good guy, because he's not, but, but he's not raping them. But then, this is October 30th. So her body is discovered early the next morning. It is now Halloween 1966. And authorities have just discovered a slaughtered, nearly decapitated 18-year-old female student at this campus. Yeah. Can you imagine being a student there?
Yeah.
I mean, you can imagine, like, the topic of, of conversation across campus all day. I mean, this
disturbing.
is...
Yes.
Right. Everybody is talking about Sherry Jo Bates. I imagine that would have been really freaky for the college students. And I wouldn't put it past, because Zodiac loved to do things just to scare people. And the outfit at Lake Berryessa, even though he was planning on killing both of these people, he still dressed like that anyway. Because we know he did stuff like this, I wouldn't put it past him to just pick that date, because he knew people would find her on Halloween.
I get that. Okay.
I mean, I can imagine, like, being in Comp 1 and, like, somebody leaning over and being like, hey, did you hear about that girl who got murdered last night? I mean, this sounds like a slasher film, right? I mean, and it is a slasher film come to life. But like I said, whoever attacked Sherry Jo Bates would have been all scratched up the next day. He would have been wounded,
definitely. They also found a footprint, didn't they?
They found a boot, to my understanding, it was a boot print. And this is telling because there was the wing walker print that was found at Lake Berryessa, the 10.5 boot print. So
is it the same shoe print or same style?
Now, I don't know that the boot print that was found at Sherry Jo Bates's crime scene was necessarily like a wing walker. Like, they called them that because they were specifically designed on the wing of planes, but I don't know if that's
right. No, I did read something like that, because it had like a non-slip non-marking, non-slipping sole. I think it couldn't create static electricity, which, walking on a wing of a plane, you really don't want static electricity. So yeah, I do remember reading that.
And I think the boot print at Sherry Jo Bates's was, a military style boot of some sort, or they think it was. This was telling because, investigators are now thinking, okay, well, perhaps, and they were certainly thinking this after Berryessa, that perhaps Zodiac was military, because he would be able to buy at a military PX.
The cipher kind of fits into that too, with military experience and being able to do codes. That kind of fits, right?
If he was like Navy or Intel, I don't know which department you gotta be in to do that, but but yeah, there was this suspicion that came about that Zodiac was military or ex-military.
It says here on ZodiacKiller.com, the shoes could have been sold at a nearby March Air Force base. So.
Yeah. I want to say that the size boot print, it was a military style boot print, but I want to say that the size between Bates murder and the Berryessa murder were actually two different sizes. One was 10.5 and the other one was, they said it was a boot print 8-10, something like that.
Right. I see that. Now, I keep saying Oceanside because you brought up Oceanside earlier. Is this Riverside where she was killed, or is it Oceanside?
Riverside.
Okay, it's Riverside. I'm sorry. I keep saying Oceanside.
Mm-hmm.
Tim, edit that out. There you go.
So, if this is they're guessing anywhere between size, 8 and 10. Well, I feel like that's kind of a dramatic difference in a shoe size. Either it's an 8 or it's a 10, which one is it? But, if it's a 10, and I think it probably was, that's very interesting. But it gets weirder.
Real in the weird.
So her dad, Joseph Bates, her poor dad, he buries his daughter who dies in this horrific manner. Mm-hmm. She dies on Halloween in a horrific manner. I mean, everyone's talking about it. It's just everywhere he goes. This is in his face. Police are everywhere. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, you can't imagine. But
no, don't want to imagine.
But then on top of all that, he gets a phone call. And it's heavy breathing. It's like he's holding the phone like right up to his mouth, like right up to his nostril or something, and just breathing into it. Yeah. But she gets these heavy breathing phone calls. And then he gets a letter. Graysmith actually published a photo of the letter that her dad got.
I think I saw it here too. It's listed under here as the confession. Is that what he received?
There was this one, and then there was the one on April 30th, 1967, which said, Bates had to die, and there will be more.
Oh, right. Okay.
I mean, how fucked up is that? You know, like, how fucked up do you have to be? But he starts mailing these letters to her dad. You know, Bates had to die. There's going to be more. Shit like that.
There was more than one letter?
From what I understand, there was more than one letter. And the cops got a letter, and he's telling the police, you know, everything about what he's done, you know. And these letters that he sent, here's another thing that's very interesting. They didn't know it at the time that it was interesting, but it became interesting later when they were wanting to compare them to Zodiac's letters because they were double stamped. Zodiac used more postage than was necessary. And he would use double stamps, and these letters were the same.
Interesting. Now, I noticed on this confession letter, I already see a couple of misspellings as well. Mm-hmm.
There's another thing Zodiac did. Paul Avery, who's, you know, talking about this in the Chronicle, like, he started referring them to the Bates had to die letters. Listen, there were more than one Bates had to die letter.
In this confession letter, I'm going to read just a little bit here. I said it was about time for her to die. I grabbed her around the neck with my hand over her mouth, and my other hand with a small knife at her throat. She went very willingly. Her breast felt very warm and firm into my hands, which makes you think that maybe he had thoughts of rape. I don't know. The only thing that was on my mind was making her pay for the brush-offs that she had given me during the years prior. She died hard. She squirmed and shook as I choked her. And choked is misspelled. And her lips twitched. That's all I'm going to read. But it's signed Enterprise.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that might be because he hadn't started, you know, calling himself Zodiac yet. You know, he hadn't found his band name yet. So.
Oh, so this was in 1966.
Yeah.
So this was a few years before. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I thought this was after for some reason.
This is before Darlene Ferrin, David Faraday, and Betty Lou Jensen, and all of them.
Gotcha. Which makes sense that a certain individual we'll talk about probably in the next episode has a watch that is a Zodiac watch that his mother gave to him, maybe because he lost his watch here at this murder.
He did, however, I believe, sign one of the letters with a Z.
Ah, interesting. I know we didn't necessarily skip over it, but there was something that was scrawled on a desk at the school, right?
Yeah, so it's in 1970. It was in November of 1970 that Paul Avery got an anonymous tip about a possible Zodiac victim before all the others. Now, this is, he's already reported about everybody else, but now he gets this tip about a possible victim before. This is, of course, Sherry Jo Bates.
Okay.
And this is the information regarding Sherry Jo Bates. And part of this was because of these letters, and another part of it was because of this desk the police had. They all go down to Riverside to look at these letters, to compare them with Zodiac's, to look at this desktop. In RCC storage in the Riverside City College, in their basement in the library, they find this desk. that had this poem, they had this really odd.
That's a horrible poem if it is.
If that's what it is, it had this horrible, it had this message on it, this really bizarre message on it. And it was so bizarre that, of course, it became, a possibility that whoever wrote it was talking about Sherry Jo Bates.
Read it off for our audience.
I will as soon as I fucking get to it. I'm trying to... I had it, and then the shit disappeared on me.
This is why I have 2 monitors and 30 tabs open.
All right. It says Avery uncovered a photo of a desktop discovered 5 months after the murder by a custodian at the RCC library in a storage area. It had been defaced.
Where are you reading this from?
I am reading this from Graysmith's book. It is on page 170.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Just so you know exactly where I'm at. It had been defaced with a gruesome poem reproduced for the first time, 5 inches deep by 3 7/8 inches wide, etched into the varnished surface in blue ballpoint pen. Sick of living, unwilling to die, cut, clean. If read, clean. Blood spurting, dripping, spilling. All over her new dress. Oh well, it was red anyway. Life draining into an uncertain death. She won't die this time. Someone will find her. Just wait till next time.
Is that a signature at the bottom?
Yeah, I'm not looking at a photo of the desk.
Okay.
I'm reading an excerpt from,
Yeah, I'm looking at a photo of it, and actually it says... blood spurting, dripping, spilling all over her new dress, period. Then it looks like it says CH, and then, well, it was red anyway. I don't know what that CH, I don't know, it was just kind of weird. But it's signed, it looked like it has an RH signed.
To the police, to their amazement, Sherwood Morrill, he's the handwriting expert, okay, that he's been scrutinizing all of Zodiac's letters. He's been the one that they send Zodiac's letters to him, and he confirms, yes, this was written by the Zodiac. So that's how we know all these Zodiac letters are Zodiac letters, because Sherwood Morrill gave him the stamp of Sherwood Morrill approval.
Okay.
So he looks at this desktop, and he says, because he can't do it with the letters that were sent to her father or the police, and he can't do this because...
That typed, wasn't it?
Those were typewritten, yeah.
In all caps.
Yeah, in all caps. Then he gets this desktop, but a desktop, he says, hey, whoever wrote this poem is your Zodiac killer. He's also the same person who wrote these letters, which kind of astonished the police because everybody was like, I don't really know how you can get a handwriting match off of a desktop because I don't know anybody who can etch in their own handwriting, but he was apparently able to do this. And that's part of the reason why Sherry Jo Bates, in addition to all of these other oddities in the story, that she was a Zodiac victim, because Sherwood Morrill said, hey, this handwriting on this desktop matches Zodiac's.
Do we want to say a little bit of information here of why a certain person was a suspect?
Why a certain person?
Mm-hmm. Wasn't Arthur Lee Allen working at the school at the time of the Bates murder?
I've never heard of Arthur Lee Allen working at Riverside, but Ross Sullivan was a student there
Interesting.
in the 1960s.
It says here on this in search of ZodiacKiller.com, at the end it says, note, interesting, Arthur Lee Miller was working as a school teacher at the time of the Bates murder and was in Riverside on some school-related business the day she was killed. The next day, he called in sick.
Arthur Lee Allen really had been fired from schools for, questionable behavior. Like, apparently it turned out he was a pedophile.
Right. Which still kind of goes against the Zodiac.
Yeah,
MO,
Zodiac didn't kill
whatever.
children. I mean, he might kill teenagers. Yeah, she was 18 years old. He will kill young people for sure. 15, 16-year-olds. So yeah, I mean, in that aspect, yes, he killed kids. But I mean, he's like, he's not going to walk into a daycare center and murder, a 3-year-old or something like that,
Right. Let's hope.
I've never heard of him living in, I know he lived in Vallejo. I know he lived near Darlene Ferrin, at one point in time, or he lived near, the restaurant where she worked. But I don't know that he ever lived in Riverside. Right. But Ross Sullivan did, and he, for a long time, was my favorite suspect, so...
Has that changed?
I don't know if there's any credence to this Richard Galwowski guy. I mean, if there is, then that's really, really incriminating, But until that can be verified, yeah, Ross Sullivan remains my favorite suspect.
All right. Is there anything else in the Riverside area that could possibly be linked to Zodiac?
According to Graysmith, now granted, this book was published, back in the 80s, I think, late 70s.
Back when there were books.
Back when there were books, and people actually read them. I think she was Riverside's one and only cold case.
Okay. How many times was her dad, how many letters did he receive and how many phone calls? Do you have any numbers? Just curious on how long this went on.
I don't know how long it went on. I don't know how many calls he received, but I know that he got at least 2 letters, and I know that there was more than one of what Avery called Bates had to die letters. He did get one letter that just said, Bates had to die. There will be more.
Okay.
But they were double posted like Z and that weird ass poem that's on the desktop that was found in the library storage. Talks about spilling blood and shit like that.
Would you move Sherry Jo Bates from a possible victim into a confirmed victim?
I don't know that they've ever confirmed that she was Zodiac's, definite victim. If they did, there would be 6, but right, there's only 5. Sherry Jo Bates has always been questionable, I don't know that they've ever been given that, yes, definitively this person was the person who killed Sherry Jo Bates. And I think the reason that is because, yes, they found this desktop that Sherwood Morrill said was written by Zodiac, or that had the handwriting match Zodiac. But we don't really know when that was etched into that desktop. The desktop wasn't mailed to her dad,
Right.
It would have been really weird if it had been, but, it wasn't. So we don't really know where the fuck that came from. Or if Zodiac even, but Sherwood Morrill says he did. I mean, he's the handwriting expert, or was at the time. He was the head of, the question documents, and he was responsible for authenticating Zodiac letters, and he was the guy that said this handwriting matches Zodiac's, or this etching matches Zodiac's, which is fucking weird,
super weird.
I'll try to etch something and see if it looks even remotely like my handwriting, but I doubt it.
Well, here on ZodiacKiller.com, it says, and it looks like it has a City of Riverside, California letterhead from the police department. It says in November of 1970, Sherry Jo Bates was determined to be a definite Zodiac victim, a fact that eventually came to the point of contention. Her case is being actively investigated in 2021. So, victim or not?
Yeah.
But according to this website, they're saying, it was a...
Well, I've never taken a tally of it or anything like that, but I'm willing to bet that most people who know about the Zodiac killings believe that Sherry Jo Bates was a victim. Mm-hmm. Rather she's been confirmed or not, it seems really, really likely.
There is a 40-minute little documentary thing called Murder Basement. The Curse of the Confession. It looks like it's over Sherry Jo Bates, possibly. So I'm gonna watch that. I'll put a link up to it on our YouTube site as well. I started making a YouTube playlist, so you can go. Our audience can go and check out all these things that I've been watching as well.
What bothers me about Zodiac being Sherry Jo Bates' killer is that why didn't he mention her later on.
Why didn't he claim it? He wanted to be famous, right?
Well, he thought to include David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen whenever he narked on himself when he, about Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mageau. But, I also killed those 2 kids last Christmas. Why didn't he say, oh, and by the way, I also killed that girl at Riverside? But, maybe...
Oh, I totally forgot to mention.
But it is right after he killed these people. I'm sure there was a rush of adrenaline or something pumping through him, perhaps. Yeah. Sherry Joe Bates slipped his mind. But surely, when he was writing his letters, it seems weird to me that he never mentioned her, that he wasn't like, hey, by the way, I also killed this girl, and to prove to you I did it, here's all of these details of the crime. That's what he did with everyone else. It seems really odd to me that he didn't try to claim that one, if he really did do it.
I think it's very compelling.
It was a Timex watch.
It was I saw that. It was a Timex. I said Casio, whatever.
Yeah, the time.
We know that the killer wore a watch, so... There had to be the DNA evidence underneath her fingernails, right? That she scratched at the victim. She obviously did some damage to this guy. Where is that evidence? And has it been kept, or is it too degraded to test anymore?
I don't know. You'd have to contact Riverside to find that information.
Hold on a sec. I'm going to have him on the line.
Right, yeah, just get him on the line there. But I can tell you that another department, I think it might be San Francisco, has been trying, or has successfully actually been able to extract DNA from one of his stamps.
I did see something about that. Were they able to link that to anything?
So far, I don't think they've linked it to anybody, but I think they did rule out Arthur Lee Allen.
Okay. Again. And then we'll talk more in depth about Arthur Lee Allen and all the other suspects next week. I know I keep saying that. I want to talk about another possible victim here that I was looking up. This is on ZodiacKiller.com.
Is it Miss Lass? Donna Lass?
Nope, not yet. This is actually going earlier. This is Ray Davis. He was murdered on April 10th, 1962. So this would be probably one of the earliest events, if it actually is possibly the Zodiac. Now, the reason why that they put this in this website is it sounds interesting because Ray Davis was a cabbie. Ray Davis was 27 and he was shot twice from behind in his own cab, and the weapon was a .22 caliber. And his first confirmed victims, which I think were, Faraday, right? Mm-hmm. I think they were shot with a .22. It was later that he upgraded to a 9mm. Of course, this says it was also a long rifle. Now, I know there are a .22 rifle shot versus a .22 pistol shot. There's not a great bit of difference, I don't believe. I might have to look that up. But I don't know, in this time in 1962, was there a pistol that could fire a long rifle ammo? If you're getting into my cab with a rifle, I'm not going anywhere. It sounded pretty interesting because the similarities are, well, this was Oceanside, and I don't know where
Riverside.
Oceanside is, and maybe that's where, no. Well, this guy, Ray Davis, was killed in Oceanside, California. Mm. So that's where I was confusing Oceanside earlier with Riverside. Mm. Anyway, the killer of Ray Davis called the police in advance and warned them he would soon be committing a baffling crime.
Like before he actually committed the crime?
Yes.
That's interesting.
Soon after Ray Davis was killed, the police received another call from the killer, this time threatening to target a random bus driver. Servicemen from the Camp Pendleton were used to help guard bus stops, and I guess nothing else happened after that, or nothing was linked to it.
Sounds a lot like Z,
Kind of sounds like it. We know that from one of his letters, though, he was threatening to shoot out the bus tire of a school bus. And then
he was going to pick off the kitties as they came bouncing out. The little darlings. That's what he called them. Was it kitties, or little darlings? What was it?
Any of the above is disturbing.
D, all of them are disturbing.
That's right. I didn't read any further about Ray Davis. There's just a small blurb on this Zodiac killer.
Anybody get any heavy breathing phone calls or,
yeah, right.
Or cryptic messages in the mail?
When you call the cops, do you do heavy breathing? So I'm going to write Ray Davis down here to also look him up a little bit more and see what I can find out about.
I mean, even Graysmith complained about getting phone calls of heavy breathing while he was writing his book.
Interesting.
So the heavy breathing was a thing.
And that wasn't coming from his wife because...
Nope, I don't think so.
So that was April 10th, 1962. Putting a star behind it there, circling it. Let's highlight it. Oh, I just set it on fire. Shit.
Damn.
Next possible victim on this site is talking about a Robert Domingos and Linda Edwards. This was 1963, so that cabbie murder happened before this suspicious murder on a remote beach in Gaviota, which is in Santa Barbara, California. Robert Domingos, age 18, was shot 11 times. His fiancée, Linda Edwards, age 17, was shot 9 times, and the weapon was a .22 caliber semi-automatic. Probably a rifle, it says.
But there again, why doesn't he boast about them?
It says the similarities, this is all from ZodiacKiller.com, by the way. The similarities between this attack and the Zodiac's Lake Berryessa attack of 1969 are striking. Additionally, the ammunition used to kill Domingos and Edwards was the same used on Lake Herman Road attack of 1968. That's where I got that piece. And if it's the same caliber possibly that killed the cabbie, Ray Davis, then I don't know. Now let's talk about, because you wanted to get there, to Donna Lass.
Donna Lass.
Donna Lass was 1970.
Yeah, so she would have been after all of these people we've talked about.
Yeah, which all of this is speculation. I'm just reading off a website too. If he claimed to have murdered 37, it's possible there are more victims out there.
Donna Lass was a nurse. She lived and worked in Lake Tahoe. She was from San Francisco. She had moved to Lake Tahoe from San Francisco. And this is kind of where part of this tie between her and the Zodiac comes in, is that perhaps the Zodiac followed her to Lake Tahoe, or went there, and recognized her from San Francisco. Perhaps he knew her. There was this speculation that he might have known Darlene Ferrin or Sherry Jo Bates or whoever.
He gets around.
I don't really think personally that Donna Lass is a Zodiac victim. I really think that, she was, I'm not going to say just another, someone who disappeared after work, but she was nabbed after work. Like, she clocked out at 1:45 a.m. and, walked out the door and disappeared, This has happened to a lot of people. This does not mean that it was the Zodiac.
Her body was never found, right?
I don't know. She went missing on September 6, 1970. She clocked out at 1:45. She walked out the door. She disappeared. Her car was found at her apartment.
What are you reading from right now? I'm sorry.
These are my notes. But then what got really weird was that somebody called her boss and her landlord and told her that she had a family problem and she needed to go out of town for a while. So not to expect her.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like Zodiac.
Yeah, Zodiac didn't do shit like that, but
No, he'd breathe heavily, but he'd be like, Donna's not going to be at work tomorrow. I'm sorry,
right.
guys.
Donna's not going to be at work tomorrow. This didn't happen. He didn't do this. He would have done the heavy breathing thing. He didn't write a letter, like a cryptic letter saying Donna Lass wouldn't be at work tomorrow. But somebody called and, tried to essentially call in for her. But here again, Z boasted about his murders. He didn't boast about Donna Lass. But the San Francisco Chronicle did receive, what was weird is they did receive a postcard. They call it the Pines postcard from Lake Tahoe from the Zodiac killer. And this was 6.5 months after her disappearance. So he didn't actually come out and say, hey, I killed this girl and here's proof that I killed her. But he sent this postcard to them from the Pines at Lake Tahoe.
Were they able to look at the handwriting on the postcard?
Yeah, this postcard, Zodiac wrote this postcard.
Okay.
I mean, because like so many other people, Kathleen Johns, included, he didn't kill her, but she's just another example of he might have mentioned them. He didn't mention Donna Lass, but, sent this postcard, but he might have mentioned them, but didn't give specifics or any more specifics than what was given in the paper. So like with Donna Lass, he sent this postcard, which they believe came from Lake Tahoe. It showed up 6 months after her disappearance, but he's not boasting on it. Hey, I killed this girl, blah, blah, blah. She was a nurse. I nabbed her on her way home from work.
Is he just trying to stay relevant, or maybe he's just fucking with Paul Avery?
Both. Yeah. I think staying relevant was extremely important to him. You have to remember, this guy had an insatiable need to be the center of attention. It was important to him that he stay famous and that everybody know who he is. You know what I mean?
Okay. I think on this postcard, didn't they have your cliche letter from the killer that had letters cut out of a magazine or something that it spelled out like sought victim number 12?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like a tally. And I really feel like somebody else was responsible for what happened to Donna Lass.
Yeah.
And that Zodiac happened to, he might have even possibly been in the area and heard about her disappearance and thought it would be funny to send a postcard to the Chronicle. That's believable.
Gotcha.
That sounds like Z. But he doesn't know anything about the crime, so he wouldn't write about it.
Gotcha.
But it made everybody talk about it. It made everybody wonder, did he kill Donna Lass?
When was the last time we heard from Zodiac?
1974.
Okay, so he was still actively sending letters until 74?
There's a 3-year period there where he stopped sending letters. He just kind of popped up in 74. But I think it was in 70 or 71 when he stopped sending letters. And then it wasn't until 1974 that another definitive Zodiac letter popped up.
Okay. And was that sent directly to the Chronicle, or was that sent to the police?
I believe that one was sent to the Chronicle.
Okay.
And then the Chronicle contacted the SFPD.
Here, this is just out of Wikipedia.com. Zodiac continued to communicate with the authorities for the remainder of 1970 via letters, greeting cards to the press. On April 20th, 1970, the Zodiac wrote, "My name is blank," followed by a 13-character cipher that has yet to be solved.
Yep. He did have a cipher that had remained unsolved.
Well, granted, I can understand that a smaller cipher is harder to crack because you crack a code by repetition of letters.
Right. They were looking for the double consonant that he would use over and over again, in this case, kill. It'd be the double L.
Gotcha. I guess they can't necessarily use the same kind of decoding on the ciphers as you can on this 13 character. Maybe he changed it up. I don't know. I'm just curious.
I think what he did was he mixed codes with other codes.
Just trying to create his own code?
Create confusion, for sure. Make it really hard.
He's a code fucker.
Yeah. You need a code fucker. So that first cipher, though, so he sent 3 different ciphers, right? He sent one to the Chronicle, one to the Times-Herald, one to the Examiner. They were 3 codes. You put them together, and they were the same message. So one newspaper got part of the code, the other newspaper got part of the code, and the Cron got part of the code. He threatened to kill more people if they wouldn't publish them. So, of course, there was this debate on whether or not they should publish them and which page they should publish them on. Zodiac wanted to be published on the front page, of course.
Of course he did.
Of course he did, because of his insatiable need to be a center of attention. Of course, none of these newspapers did this. Eventually, they did start talking about him on the front page, but not with these. They ultimately, I think, published them out of fear that he would kill more people and, somebody would blame them for not doing what he asked. But it was a couple, a man and wife, that cracked the cipher. And there were professional code crackers. There were code fuckers. scrutinizing this thing. Okay. And it's this couple, just hanging out together that cracks it. And it was really odd. All of his letters were odd, but it said something, like, I like killing because it's so much fun, and he starts talking about the most dangerous game.
Okay.
The most dangerous game is telling because this is an actual book about hunting people for sport, because man is the most dangerous animal of all. A lot of people enjoyed this book. Arthur Lee Allen enjoyed this book, which is another reason why the finger was later pointed at him, because he was a fan of that book.
Interesting.
But this was something that Zodiac talked about in one of those ciphers that was, sent, was talking about the most dangerous game of all. And, he had to collect humans. He had to collect, souls for slaves in the afterlife, just really weird shit. And all of his letters said weird shit if he wasn't making threats or anything like that. But man is the most dangerous animal of all. I like killing people. It's so much fun. But, he would always begin these letters with, this is the Zodiac speaking,
Was that the primer for the code?
I want to say it was like his second letter that he sent to the Chronicle that he started calling himself the Zodiac.
Okay. But he came up with that himself.
He did
not.
That was not a name that was given. He named himself the Zodiac.
Yeah, can you do that?
Name your own, give your own serial killer name? This one he says, I have grown rather angry with the police for their telling lies about me. I shall change the way I collect my collecting of slaves. I shall no longer announce to anyone when I commit my murders. They shall look like routine robberies, killings of anger, and a few false accidents, etc. The police shall never catch me because I have been too clever for them. I look like the description passed out. This has to be after Paul Stein. I look like the description passed out only when I do my thing. He refers to my thing in several letters, and he's, of course, talking about killing people when he says that.
Okay. Oh, not his thing.
He said, the next time I look entirely different, I shall not tell you what my disguise, which he spelled disguise wrong, consists of when I kill. As of yet, I have left no fingerprints. He did leave a bloody latent at the Paul Stein crime.
Right.
Contrary to what the police say, in my killings, I wear transparent fingertip guards. All it is 2 coats of airplane cement coated on my fingertips, quite unnoticeable and very effective.
Then we also talk about the boots that I just mentioned earlier, that somebody had mentioned that were anti-static boots that he could walk on a wing of a plane.
My tools have been bought through the mail. It's a through the mail order.
Amazon.
Before the ban went into effect. Except one, it was bought out of state. So as you can see, the police don't have much to work on. If you wonder why I was wiping the cap down, definitely after Paul Stein. If you were wondering why I was wiping the cap down, I was leaving fake clues, CLEW, clue, for the police to run all over town with. As one might say, I gave the cops some busy work to do, to keep them happy and keep them busy. This is really interesting that he says this, because Toshki, one of the things that he was bothered by was, okay, wait a minute, he was so careful at these other crime scenes, but he just, bam, leaves a glove and a bloody latent at the Paul Stein crime? That seems weird. I enjoy needling the blue pigs. Hey, blue pig, I was in the park. The dogs never came within 2 blocks of me. This is, the way he writes is hard to read.
I read, too, that they did have, I think, 4 different dogs that after the Paul Stein murder, when they suspected that he possibly went up the street and cut over into the Presidio and may have parked over there. Now, from what I was reading, there's possibly a wall around the Presidio, which was it was a park, but it was also at one time a military establishment.
Well, I think you're probably going to want to get into this guy in the next episode. However, I am going to say this, and maybe this is where we should end it, because the Presidio heist, you're right. I believe it would be really hard to commit a crime like this and then just suddenly disappear like Zodiac did. Now, he did, there was those 2 cops that saw him. Zodiac was saved clearly by the fact that there was a wrong description that went out about him.
Yes.
That is the only reason why these cops didn't pull him over. They were looking for a black guy when they saw this white guy. Right. And, I mentioned Ross Sullivan being my favorite suspect. Ross Sullivan, if I'm not mistaken, maybe it's not Ross Sullivan, maybe it was Rick Marshall. One of them had a cousin that lived in that area in the Presidio Heights.
Okay.
I mean, you'd want to get off the streets as quickly as possible, right?
Yeah,
after you shot somebody.
Definitely. I mean, there was a speculation that when he got over to the Presidio, got into a car that he had parked over there and took off. Within 5 minutes, he could have driven through the Presidio and across the Golden Gate Bridge.
Or if he had a friend, in this case, a cousin or something, somebody that lived in that area, which you got to have some money because the Presidio Heights is not a cheap place to live. Okay.
Yeah, that's
it's
what
an expensive part of San Francisco.
Yeah.
So those people had some money. So I really don't think Zodiac himself lived in that neighborhood.
No.
One of them had a cousin that lived not far from Washington Street. And this is interesting because this goes back to, we asked the question, why would he have the real mark, the real ending point of his car ride was Washington and Maple, but he had to pull up 1 block to Washington and Cherry. Could it be that Zodiac was just like trying to get a block closer to where he needed to go after he shot this guy? Is he just having Paul Stein make this a little more convenient for him?
Yeah. You're like, I'm not feeling it today, guys. These military wing boots are really bothering my toes. My dogs are barking. Get me a little closer to the crime scene. Oh, I mean, just another block up. It's not a crime scene yet, guys.
But it's also possible. Now, if this is true, then this is ballsy. And Zodiac was ballsy. It could be, and I don't know if he saw this from a block away. This is kind of far-fetched. But maybe he noticed that there was a party going on in that house across the street. And he had Paul Stein pull up specifically because he knew somebody, these teenagers, would witness him killing this guy. But he's not wearing a mask or anything. Like I said, it's ballsy if that's what he was doing, which I really don't think it was. Because he doesn't have any kind of disguise on.
Right.
They gave the description of a stocky guy with a crew cut, wearing these glasses, wearing this jacket, which also makes me think Zodiac didn't mean for them to see that because there again, he's unaware of the mistake given with the dispatcher, as far as, are you looking for a black guy or a white guy? Zodiac would have no knowledge of that. He's not aware. And that is why he got away. So gotcha. I don't think that he meant for these girls to actually see this because that would only help these police to catch him. The description that went out came from these kids, but it was the dispatcher that got it wrong. The kids said it was a white guy. The dispatcher got it wrong and said it was a black guy.
In one of the documentaries, that one of the police officers, while he was talking about this account, that these were younger kids, and kids don't give great descriptions. I think maybe when they were talking to the dispatcher, maybe it was a little hard for them to, maybe they were all talking at the same time. You got to get 3 kids that just saw a murder. It was just happenstance that the dispatcher gave out the wrong information, and they possibly could have had the guy a block from the freaking site. But they didn't stop him.
They didn't stop him. They didn't talk to him. They just happened to notice that there was a stocky dude with a crew cut walking down the sidewalk. Mm-hmm. Which is, you could call it sloppy police work, but in those, I really think that those guys, thought that they were looking for a black guy and looked at that guy and he was clearly white. I just don't know why they didn't pull over and ask him, hey, did you see anything? Or why they didn't talk to him, Right. They did get a good look at him, though. Up until this point, nobody's really gotten a good look at him. And
one of the accounts, it was in one of the documentaries, that the officer, one of them's dead. The other one was still alive at this point. I can't remember their names right now, but he said he thought he saw his eyes, and he couldn't remember what color his eyes were, but he saw his eyes. So he would be driving by this guy really slow if he's walking down the sidewalk.
That's so weird that he would make eye contact with him. But I imagine that it being dark, and you're looking for someone else.
Yeah, and maybe if Zodiac was playing it cool too, because he didn't start running, that would have tipped him off that this would have been the guy. It was just some guy walking down the street.
And it had to have been dark because, really, they got a good look at him enough to give this, description to a sketch artist, but he just held a gun up to the back of Paul Stein's head and pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
I mean, the blood would have flown everywhere.
Yeah.
There's no way there's not blood on Zodiac.
Mm-hmm. I believe that.
He was wiping the cab down, after this crime, but I can't imagine that he was quick enough to be able to get it off of him. I mean, I don't know, his face, whatever, but...
Yep.
But
you got points. You got good points. And guys, we still don't have any answers.
And we still aren't any closer to solving this.
Now, granted, we didn't talk a whole lot about the ciphers. We're going to go ahead and call it quits for today. But let's continue this conversation. I want to talk more about the ciphers. I want to talk about this possible suspects. I'm going to watch a movie, and I'm going to talk about it too and see how it ties together with this story, because it's just freaking bizarre.
It is bizarre.
Krista, is there anything else you want to add for today?
I'm good.
Let's shut this bitch down.
All
right, guys. Hey, listen, every Tuesday, we're coming at you with a new moratorium. I know this month is going to be a little bit weird because we're actually doing this true crime bit, but a crossover to movies. I'm loving this. I'm having a great time. And you should let us know if you want to hear more content like this, and possibly we could have another show. But you got to tell us. Tell us what you want. Tell us what you like to hear. Tell us what we did wrong. Tell us what we got wrong. Email us at moviemoratorium@gmail.com. Also, if you'd like to help support this podcast and this podcast network, please go on over to our Patreon. And for as little as $1 a month, you can help us out. What's the price of ramen these days? Just start sending me ramen. I'll take that as well. Is ramen currency yet?
Yeah, but what flavor?
Are we at that stage in the apocalypse?
Well, you didn't ask for toilet paper, so.
Oh, okay. Well, that shortage is over, hopefully. Knock on something.
Knock on something.
If you want to give a little bit more to the Patreon, hey, for $3 a month, I'm going to start giving you stuff back. Yes, for $3 a month, you get to get our director's cuts to our movie episodes on the moratorium proper. Lately, I've been cutting just over 30 minutes of content from each episode and saving it for our Patreon. Why? Because I care. And it's funny shit, guys. I don't want to cut it out, but you're making me. You got me in an arm bar, man. I got to do this. For $3 a month, you can get all that content. I don't know. I have wrestling moves. I don't have anything. Guys, please go on over to the moratorium and check out Krista's blog. She's told me that she has another one that she's going to give to me. I can't wait to share it with you. Someday, suspended animation. But go on over to themoratorium.com and go check out everything. We're on all the social medias. Look at not all of them, all the ones I care about being on. How about Twitter, Instagram, Facebook? Go check out our Facebook group. We're having a lot of fun there, posting every day. And I'm also doing those TikTok videos. Why not? Go check that shit out. We're having a great time here at the moratorium.
Check us out.
Check us out.
Check us out.
All right, guys, let's shut this down. What do you say, Krista?
I'm down. Let's do it.
Good night.
Good night.
You've been listening to The Moratorium, an MT Cornfield production. Tune in next week when Krista and I, yes, again, will get together and discuss the Zodiac in part 3 of our saga on this notorious serial killer. If you have any movie suggestions or just want to tell us how much we really suck, you can contact us at moviemoratorium@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and long live VHS.